Chào cậu, cậu cần phải bình tĩnh lại. Mọi chuyện rồi sẽ ổn thôi. Để tôi kiểm tra xem sao nhé.
The door swung open like a thunderclap in the dead of night. And there he was, Jordan, my neighbor from across the hall. His broad shoulders filling the frame. Eyes wide with the kind of alarm that only comes from hearing muffled sobs through thin walls. I froze on my bed, shirt half unbuttoned, tears streaking my face. The weight of another failed date crashing down like the bottle of whiskey I'd knocked over in my despair. In that split second, as his gaze locked onto mine, something unbreakable sparked between us. A silent vow that this intrusion wasn't an ending, but the reckless beginning of everything I'd hidden for years. I'd always prided myself on keeping the chaos contained, especially in a city like New York where walls were as thin as the patience of its 9 million souls. My apartment in Brooklyn was a sanctuary of sorts, a cramped one-bedroom filled with stacks of dog-eared manuscripts and the faint scent of takeout Thai that lingered like old regrets. At 25, I was Alex Harper, freelance writer by day, invisible dreamer by night, scraping by on pitches to magazines that paid in exposure more than dollars. My life was a careful script, coffee runs at dawn, typing furiously until my fingers cramped, and evenings scrolling through dating apps that promised connection but delivered ghosts. Gay in a world that still whispered judgments. I'd learned to love quietly, to bury the ache under layers of sarcasm and solitude. Jordan lived next door, a paramedic with the build of someone who'd wrestled fate and won. His laughter echoing through the vents like a lifeline I pretended not to need. That night, though, the script tore. It started with a date, Mark. Or was it Mike, some guy from the app with a smile too polished and eyes that darted like he was casing the joint? We'd met at a dimly lit bar in Williamsburg, the kind with exposed brick and craft beers that tasted like regret. He talked about his exes like trophies, each story laced with casual barbs about those dramatic types, and I nodded along, my stomach twisting because I knew exactly what type he meant. By the time we stumbled back to my place, buzzed and hopeful, the mask slipped. A kiss that started sweet turned mechanical, his hands fumbling with expectations I couldn't meet. "You're not really into this, are you?" he'd accused, pulling away. And just like that, the door slammed behind him, leaving me shattered on the floor. The sobs came unbidden, raw and guttural, the kind that hollow out your chest. I didn't hear the knock. Did he even knock before Jordan burst in? His key probably from that time. I'd left mine in the hall, and he'd played hero. He was still in his work clothes, the navy polo clinging to his sweat-dampened torso, cargo pants dusted with the invisible grit of saving lives. "Alex? Shit. I heard, God. Are you okay?" His voice was gravel and concern, the same timbre that had pulled me through insomnia more times than I'd admit, blasting muffled calls to dispatch through the shared wall. I wiped my face, heat flooding my cheeks, but there was no hiding the mess, the spilled whiskey pooling on the hardwood. My vulnerability laid bare like an open wound. "Jordan, what the get out?" I stammered, but my voice cracked, betraying the lie. He didn't move. Instead, he crossed the room in 2 strides, dropping to one knee beside the bed, his hand hovering near my shoulder as if afraid I'd shatter. Up close, he smelled of antiseptic and rain-slicked streets, his blue eyes searching mine with an intensity that made my pulse thunder. "I'm not leaving you like this," he said softly, his thumb brushing a tear from my cheek before he could stop himself. The touch lingered, electric, and in that breath, The air thickened with unspoken truths. I'd fantasized about him in stolen moments, his easy grin in the elevator, the way his biceps flexed when he hauled groceries, but this was real, dangerously so. Talk to me. Please. Words tumbled out then. A dam breaking, the date's cruelty, the endless cycle of hiding who I was. The fear that love was just a pretty word for loss. Jordan listened, his face a map of quiet fury and empathy, nodding as if he'd carried similar weights. That guy's an asshole, he murmured finally, his hand settling fully on my arm, warm and steady. You deserve someone who sees you. Alex. All of you. His gaze held mine. And for a heartbeat, I swear I saw my own longing reflected back, a flicker of something deeper, something that terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. We sat like that for what felt like hours, the city humming outside our bubble. He fetched a towel for the spill, cracked a lame joke about my whiskey tolerance that coaxed a watery laugh from me. And before I knew it, he was stretched out on the bed beside me, our shoulders brushing. Stay, I whispered, the word slipping free like a confession. He did, his breathing syncing with mine as dawn crept in, painting the room in hesitant gold. In the morning light, as he stirred and our eyes met again, the spark from last night ignited into flame. Jordan leaned in, tentative, his lips brushing mine in a kiss that tasted of possibility and peril, a promise that this unannounced entry had rewritten our worlds forever. But life in the city doesn't pause for heartbeats. By afternoon, Jordan had to bolt for his shift, leaving me with a scribbled note on his paramedic notepad. Coffee later? Gee. I clutched it like a talisman, my mind reeling. Was this real, or just the haze of vulnerability? I spent the day pounding out an article on urban isolation, irony dripping from every keystroke. But my thoughts kept drifting to him, the curve of his smile, the strength in his hands. When evening fell, I found myself at the corner cafe, nursing a latte, nerves jangling like loose change. He arrived disheveled, hair tousled from the wind, that polo swapped for a simple black tee that hugged his chest just right. Missed you today, he said without preamble, sliding into the booth across from me. The words hung there, bold and uncharted. We talked, really talked for the first time. About his job, the adrenaline rush of sirens and the quiet horror of loss, about my writing, the stories I chased out run my own. Laughter wove through the heavy stuff, easy and warm, until his foot nudged mine under the table. Deliberate. My breath caught. Alex, he said, voice low. Last night. I didn't plan on any of it. But I don't regret walking in. Me neither, I admitted, heart hammering. Our hands met across the scarred wood tabletop, fingers lacing in a grip that said more than words could. That night, we wandered the streets, Brooklyn's pulse matching our own, street vendors hawking falafel, couples tangled on benches, the skyline a jagged promise. At my door, he kissed me properly, slow and deep, his body pressing close enough to feel the rapid beat beneath his ribs. It was fire and fragility, a declaration that we'd crossed a line with no map back. Days blurred into a secret rhythm. Stolen glances in the hallway. Texts that lit up my phone like fireworks. Thinking of you mid-code blue. We'd meet in his apartment. A mirror of mine, but neater. With medical textbooks stacked like sentinels and a fridge stocked with protein shakes. There, in the soft glow of his lamp. We'd explore each other, not just bodies, but souls. Jordan traced the scars on my heart. The ones from family back in Ohio who still sent birthday cards with Bible verses underlined. "They don't know," he'd ask gently, his fingers mapping my skin. "Not yet." "And you?" I'd counter, because his silences spoke volumes. He'd hesitate, that strong jaw tightening. "My folks are old school Texas. Dad's a rancher, expects grandkids. Mom prays for miracles." We laugh it off, but the undercurrent pulled at us. A tide of what-ifs. Still, in those moments, love felt invincible. One rainy Tuesday, he showed up soaked after a double shift, pulling me into a dance in the living room to some forgotten playlist, our bodies swaying, slick and sure, until we collapsed laughing on the rug. "I love you," he whispered against my neck, the words slipping out unplanned. I froze, then melted, echoing them back. It was terrifying, exhilarating, the kind of love that poets chase and fools claim. But shadows crept in, as they always do. Whispers from the building super about those two guys getting too friendly, a sidelong glance from Jordan's coworker at the bodega. I buried it in work, landing a gig with a queer lit mag that let me pour our story into fiction. Veiled but true. Jordan, though, carried the weight heavier. One night, after a call that left him hollow-eyed, a kid lost to overdose, he came to me shaking. "What if this costs us everything?" he murmured, buried in my arms. I held him tighter, whispering promises into his hair, but doubt seated in my gut like a storm cloud. The first real crack came at a neighborhood block party, the kind where grills smoked and kids chased fireflies under string lights. We planned to go as friends. Easy cover. But Jordan's hand found mine in the crowd, squeezing as if anchoring us. That's when I saw him, Jordan's brother, Ethan, broad as a linebacker, visiting from Texas with a six-pack and suspicion in his eyes. "Who's this?" Ethan boomed, clapping Jordan on the back hard enough to jolt us apart. Jordan stiffened, introducing me as the writer next door, but Ethan's gaze lingered, probing. Later, by the cooler, he cornered me. "Look, Alex, Jordan's my blood. Whatever games you're playing, back off. He's got a life to live right." The words landed like punches, but I smiled through it, retreating to Jordan's side. That night, in bed, he confronted the ghost. "Ethan's just protective. Doesn't understand," but his voice wavered, and for the first time, I felt the fracture, love's fragility against the world's unyielding grind. Weeks passed in a haze of passion laced with caution. We'd steal weekends upstate, hiking trails where no one knew our names, making love under star-pricked skies that felt like ours alone. Jordan opened up more, sharing stories of his first crush, a boy in high school football, fumbled passes hiding fumbled feelings. I ran from it, he confessed one dawn, his head on my chest. Thought saving lives would save me. I share my own ghosts, the coming-out fight with my sister that ended in silence, the apps that chipped away at self-worth. In those confessions, we forged something sacred, a bond that whispered, "We are enough." Yet the city conspired. My article dropped, semi-autobiographical, and suddenly my inbox flooded with messages, support from strangers, shade from trolls. Jordan read it on shift, texting heart emojis that couldn't mask the follow-up call. "Proud of you." But my team's asking questions. Paranoia bloomed. Then, the ultimatum, Ethan's return. This time with parents in tow for a family check-in. Jordan paced my kitchen, sweat beading despite the chill. They fly in tomorrow. What do I say? Tell them the truth, I urged, though fear clawed my throat. Or we fade back to neighbors. The words tasted like ash. He stopped, cup in my face. Never. You're my truth. Alex. But dawn brought the knock, his family at his door. Voices carrying through the wall like accusations. I pressed my ear to plaster. Heart in my throat. Catching fragments. Who's that guy? Son. We're worried. Jordan's voice rose. Steady then shattering. I love him. Dad. He's everything. Silence. Then chaos. Raised tones. A door slam. Minutes later, Jordan hammered on my door, eyes red-rimmed, a duffel slung over his shoulder. They left. Said prayers and time would fix me. He collapsed into me, sobs racking his frame. The paramedics' armor cracked wide. We held vigil that night, piecing him back with whispers and wine. We'll build our own family, I vowed, tracing his knuckles. He nodded, fierce. Starting now, but fate, that cruel curator, wasn't done. A call shattered the fragile peace, Jordan's rigged to a warehouse fire, the kind that devours without mercy. I paced my apartment, phone glued to hand, until the knock came, not his, but a colleague's. Face ashen. He's hurt. Not bad, but hospital. The cab ride blurred. Rain lashing windows like accusations. In the ER, I found him, bandaged arm, soot-streaked face, but alive, eyes lighting when he saw me. Alex, he breathed, pulling me close despite the beeps and bustle. Nurses averted eyes, but in that sterile room, we claimed our space. Marry me, he rasped. No ring, just raw intent. Laughter bubbled through tears. Yes, I choked, sealing it with a kiss that defied the world. Recovery was a gauntlet, physical therapy, family radio silence, my writing surging as catharsis. We moved in together, his apartment swallowing mine, walls repainted in colors of defiance. Ethan's olive branch came tentative, a call. An apology, I was wrong. Be happy, brother. Parents followed, halting, but thawing. Love, we learned, isn't a sprint but a siege, 1 inch by aching inch. Years later, on our rooftop under Brooklyn stars, rings glinting, I replay that unannounced entry. It wasn't intrusion, it was invitation to a life fierce and full, where vulnerability births victory. Jordan's hand in mine. I know, some doors open to forever, and we'll walk through them, unbroken. The rooftop vow lingered like smoke from that long-ago fire, but life demanded we stoke new flames. Our wedding was small, a city hall affair with falafel trucks and a playlist of anthems that screamed defiance. Jordan's arm still ached on rainy days, a reminder etched in scar tissue. But he moved through it with the grace of someone who danced with death and chosen me instead. At 28 now, he was more than paramedic, he was partner, the steady hum in my chaos. I, at 27, had my first book deal, a memoir veiled as fiction. Our story's bones picked clean of pain, dressed in hope. Morning started with his coffee brewing, black and bold, while I pecked at chapters in our sun-dappled kitchen. "You're glowing," he'd tease, nuzzling my neck, his stubble a delicious rasp. Those touches grounded us, threads weaving against unraveling. But New York, ever the trickster, tested our tapestry. My book tour kicked off modest. Readings in indie shops from Brooklyn to Boston, but buzz built. Whispers turning to waves. "Is this about that viral queer love story?" fans asked, eyes alight. I smiled, deflecting, inspired by life. Jordan tagged along when he could, his presence a shield. In Chicago, after a packed house, we ducked into a dive bar, the kind with neon buzz and no pretensions. He pulled me onto the makeshift dance floor, body swaying to a cover of Wonderwall, his lips in my ear. Proud doesn't cover it. But midway, a drunk heckler slurred from the shadows. "Fairy tale bullshit. Real men don't prance." The room tensed. But Jordan spun, eyes steel. "Real love does." He kissed me right there, fierce and unapologetic, the bar erupting in cheers that drowned the hate. Back home, though, cracks spiderwebbed. My rising profile meant interviews, prying questions about the paramedic muse. Jordan bristled at first, then withdrew, shifts lengthening as if distance could dull the spotlight. "It's not you," he'd say, but his eyes betrayed the lie. One night, post-argument, me pushing for a joint photo op, him fearing it painted a target, he stormed out, leaving me with the echo of slammed doors. I wanted our rooms. Ghosts of that first intrusion haunting. Had we rushed the rewrite? Dawn brought contrition. He returned with bagels and bruised apologies, pulling me to the fire escape where city lights twinkled like conspirators. "I'm scared," he admitted, voice raw, "of losing you to this fame, or them taking it from us." I traced his wedding band, simple titanium etched with our initials. "They can't. With a story that writes itself." We made love there, slow and reclaiming, bodies mapping forgiveness under the indifferent stars. Summer swelled, humid and heavy, mirroring the heat building in our lives. Ethan's visit sealed the thaw. He arrived with his wife and toddler, a squirming bundle of curiosity who babbled Uncle Joe. Jordan melted, scooping the kid into bear hugs that eased old wounds. Over barbecue on our balcony, Ethan raised a beer to second chances. His wife, Lena, a sharp-eyed lawyer. "Corner me later. He talks about you nonstop." Thank you for seeing him. Tears pricked. Family wasn't perfection, but it was progress. Yet peril prowled. Jordan's department, face cuts, budget slashes threatening overtime. The lifeline for our savings. He threw himself in, volunteering for hazards, collapsed structures, chemical spills. "Gotta provide," he'd mutter, kissing me goodbye with extra linger. Fear became my shadow, stalking shifts. One storm last night, thunder rumbling like artillery. The call came, multi-car pileup on the bridge. His team first on scene. I paced, rain sheeting windows, until sirens wailed distant, then near. No news till morning. Him, soaked and shaken, collapsing into bed. "Close one," he whispered, arm bandaged anew. Truck flipped. Pulled a guy out seconds before explosion. I held him as tremors faded, rage bubbling. "This job's killing you," he chuckled weakly. "Saving others? It's who I am, but in quiet hours." Doubt gnawed. Could love endure if it meant widowhood at 30? The pivot came unexpected, a grant for first responders. Funneled through my book's nonprofit tie-in. I pitched on a podcast. Words fueled by desperation. Heroes need heroes too. It landed. Funding therapy. Gear. Time off. Jordan's chief pulled him aside. Harper's got pull. Take the desk for a bit. He resisted, then relented. Trading ambulance for admin. Bitter pill. But one that led him home by 6. Fall gilded the leaves. Our first anniversary approaching. I planned a surprise. Weekend in the Catskills. Cabin by a lake where phones died and worries drowned. We drove up. Windows down. His hand on my thigh. Radio crooning Springsteen. There, amid crackling fires and starlit swims, we shed city skins. Remember that night? He mused, tracing my collarbone by candlelight. Door flies open, and bam, soulmates central. Laughter mingled with moans, reaffirming vows and sweat-slicked whispers. But return brought reckoning. My parents, long silent since the book, emailed, saw your interview. Flying in. Talk, stomach knotted, Ohio ghosts invading Brooklyn. They arrived stiff. Mom clutching pearls. Dad jaw set. Dinner at our place was minefield, small talk skittering over politics. Faith. Then, inevitable, this. Lifestyle, Mom ventured, eyes down. Jordan's grip tightened under the table. I breathed deep. This love, it's us. Real as yours. Silence stretched. Then Dad cleared throat. Wrote a fine book. Son. Made us think, not absolution, but aperture, a door cracked. They left with hugs. Tentative, but hugs nonetheless. Jordan pulled me close after. You slayed dragons tonight. We celebrated with rooftop wine. Toasting bridges half-burned. Half-built. Winter bit hard. Snow blanketing streets in hush. Jordan thrived in his interim role. Mentoring rookies. His passion redirected but undimmed. I wrapped the sequel. Darker edges honed by trials. Love's not linear, but labyrinthine. Twists teaching tenacity. Fans wrote, your story saved me. Each one a balm. Echoing our own salvation. One blizzard night. Power out. We huddled under blankets. Candles flickering like that first dawn. What now? He asked. Chin on my shoulder. World. Us, I replied, turning to kiss him. Always us, in darkness. Light bloomed, proof that unannounced beginnings birth enduring blaze. Spring unfurled tentative. Cherry blossoms defiant against gray skies. Mirroring the bloom in our rebuilt world. Jordan's desk stint ended, but he chose hybrid, field days balanced with training. A compromise carved from compromise. For us, he'd say, lacing boots with less dread. I watched him go, pride swelling, fear adult echo now. My book tour crescendoed, coasts collided in sold-out halls. Queer youth crowding signings with tales that twinned ours. You gave me courage, a teen murmured, rainbow pin glinting. Jordan, in the wings, beamed our love, lighthouse for lost ships. Yet undercurrents stirred. Ethan's promotion meant relocation, Philly, closer but still a chasm bridged by video calls. Uncle Judy's, he joked, toddler waving chubby fists at screens. Jordan's ache was palpable, a brother's bond frayed by miles. Family's fluid now, I reminded, planning visits. but deeper. It unearthed his rootlessness, Texas twangs softened by years, yet pulling like gravity. One call home. Post-dinner. He hung up mid-sentence. Dad's sick. Prostate. Won't say how bad. The news landed seismic. Jordan drove south solo first. Me buried in deadlines. But Tex painted worry, stubborn as ever. Loves you. Though said so, return brought him hollowed. Eyes shadowed. Stage 2. Treatable. But time's finite. We grieved preemptively. Nights tangled in what-ifs. Make me promise, he urged one dawn. Fingers urgent on my skin. No regrets. Live loud. I nodded. Throat tight. Vowing silently to anchor him through storms. Summer scorched. Air thick with heat and headlines. Rights rolled back in red states. Protests pulsing through cities. We marched. Hands linked. Signs scrawled. Love wins. Still fighting. Jordan's medic kit slung. Patching scrapes amid chants. A news crew caught us. Kiss amid crowd. Splash viral. Backlash bit. Department email. Professionalism reminder. He shrugged it off. But tension coiled. They're watching, he muttered, scanning halls for judgment. My response brewed bold. Op-ed in the Times. Heroes in love. Why visibility saves lives. It ignited praise from allies. Fury from foes. Jordan read drafts aloud. Editing with gentle barbs. Less fire. More heart. Published. It shifted winds. Chiefs nod. Invites to panels. But personal toll mounted. Anonymous calls. Freaks scrawled on our door. Fear flickered. But we fanned defiance. They want spectacle? Give them strength, Jordan declared, framing the article by our bed. Fall's harvest brought harvest of joys. Book 2 deal. Advance fat enough for down payment. Queen's Co-op. Space for dreams. We toured empties, envisioning office for me, gym nook for him, garden patch for herbs. Closing day, keys in hand. We christened it with paint splattered sex on drop cloths, laughter echoing bare walls. Our fortress, I gasped, his way to welcome siege. But winter whispered warnings. Jordan's dad worsened. Chemo cycles sapping steel. We flew south Christmas. Awkward reunion in sterile cheer. Mom hovered. Dad frail in recliner. But eyes softened seeing us. Hands clasped. Rings catching light. Brought mistletoe, Jordan quipped, kissing my cheek. Dad chuckled. Wheezing, boys got spirit. Over eggnog. Stories flowed. His ranch tales, our cityscapes. Proud, he rasped to Jordan private, tears unshed. Of you both, flight home, Jordan wept silent, release raw. He sees me now, New Year dawn crisp, resolutions whispered, more travels, less toil. We jitted Puerto Rico, beaches balm for battered souls. Waves washing worries. Snorkeling. Hand in flipper. We chased turtles. Surfacing to kisses, salty sweet. This, he said, treading water, is eternity. Evenings. Hammock swayed. Stars confetti overhead. Back. Recharged. We hosted friends. Family hybrid. Ethan's crew zooming in. Lena toasting to roots and wings. Spring cycled again. But with it, pivot. My publisher pitched podcast, unannounced, our story serialized. Voices raw. Jordan hesitated to exposed, but dove in mic in hand, recounting that door swing fate. Episodes dropped. Downloads soared. Listeners pouring hearts. You mended my broken coming out. Revenue trickled. Enough for his side hustle. Queer first aid workshops. Teaching survival with soul. Yet shadow loomed largest in June. Pride. Pinnacle and precipice. Float entry secured. We rallied. Banners bold. Love unannounced. Marching. Confetti, cannons bursting. Jordan's arm around me. World a roar of acceptance. But midway, scuffle erupted. Counter-protesters shoving. Epithets flying. Chaos swirled. He shielded me. Barking orders home by crises. Stay low. A bottle sailed. Glancing his temple, blood welled. But he pressed on, hauling a fallen marcher to medics. Aftermath, ER stitch. Headlines heroic. Paramedic saves at Pride. Interviews flooded. He demurred. Just love and action. Home. Bandaged brow. He pulled me close. Worth every scar. Healing. We reflected. Pride not party. But pulse of perseverance. Summer waned warm. Anniversary too. Vow renewal. Intimate rooftop. Efficient friend. Rings re-exchanged under lanterns. Through unannounced doors, I recited, voice thick, to forever's threshold, his kiss sealed, crowd whooping. Life layered richer, book 3 brewing. His workshops expanding, family folds widening, dad's remission call, tears of triumph. One autumn eve, leaves crunching underfoot. We walked the bridge, same where he'd pulled that driver years back. Full circle, he murmured, wind whipping. I leaned in, and just beginning, in that span of steel and sky. Love stood unyielding, dramatic, devoted, defiantly ours. As leaves turned to frost-kissed relics, our rhythms steadied into something profound, less tempest, more tide, ebbing and flowing with grace earned through gales. Jordan's workshops bloomed into a nonprofit. Hearts on the line, blending queer allyship with emergency training. I'd guest speak, weaving narratives that humanize the stats. Stories save, I'd say, echoing our origin. He nodded, pride in his eyes. The man who'd once hidden now heralding. Winter wrapped us gentle this year, no blizzards. Just blankets and cocoa by the fire escape. City, a twinkling tapestry below. Dad's health held. Visits virtual but vital, video barbecues. His laugh booming through speakers. Tell that paramedic boy to teach me CPR, he'd jest. Mom rolling eyes fond. Ethan's Philly clan grew, baby 2 en route, and weekends blurred borders. Trains ferrying us to chaos of crayons and coups. Jordan, uncle incarnate, cradled nieces with a tenderness that melted me. One day, ours, he'd whisper later, seed of future planets soft. Spring's thaw brought bloom of another sort. My podcast hit stride. Episodes dissecting love's labyrinth, guests from activists to everyday warriors. Jordan co-hosted one, voice steady recounting that fateful knock, vulnerability's the real hero. Listeners surged, sponsorships sweetening the pot. We funneled funds to his org, cycles of giving closing loops. But spotlights glare gilded thorns, a troll storm post-episode, doxing attempts that chilled. Change numbers, I urged, paranoia prickling. He shook head, hide? Nah. We light the dark. Summer simmered with purpose, pride redux. Our float headliner. Confetti cannons upgraded to hope dispensers. Cards with hotline numbers fluttering free. Marching arm in arm. Jordan's workshop crew flanking. We chanted unity, his free hand signing to deaf allies. No clashes this year. Instead, rainbow rivers converging, a sea of stories shared in hugs. Backstage, sweat slick. He kissed me fierce. Our revolution. Fall's harvest reaped unexpected. Publisher's whisper of adaptation. Screenplay pitch for unannounced. Hollywood siren call. But we wait it wary. Lose the soul. Jordan fretted. Pacing our queen's kitchen. Herbs thriving on sill. I pulled him down. We steer. Authenticity or bust. Meetings flew us west. Sun-drenched lots. Execs in polos, pitching polish. We push back. Raw edges stay. Green light came tentative. But ours, director queer. Cast auditions echoing our essence. Winter holidays hummed hybrid. Texas trek for dad's milestone. Remission year 1. Feasting on brisket. Toast to tenacity. You boys built good, Dad said private. Hand on Jordan's shoulder. Grip firm. Tears welled mutual. Bridges. Once burned. Now boulevards. Back north. Ethan's crew crashed our pad. Newborn bundled. Toddler tornado. Nights of lullabies and laughter. Jordan's eyes dreaming domestic. Spring 2030 dawn electric. Filming started. Brooklyn backlit buzzing. Jordan consulted. Authenticity advisor. Scripting saves that rang true. I shadowed. Script doctoring dialogues with heart's vernacular. Cast bonded quick. Lead actors. Fresh-faced queers. Grilling us on that door moment. Felt like fate punching clock, Jordan quipped. Earning grins. But sets bred stress, long hours, egos clashing. One night, post-rap, he snapped, this machine's chewing us. I nodded. Raw pause? Bali. We bolted, tropical escape. Bungalows on cliffs. Waves a symphony. Hikes through rice terraces. Hands clasped. We shed scripts for soul search. Kids, he ventured. Toes in sand. Surrogacy. Adoption, when ready. Laughter light. But seed took root. Return recharged. Filming flowed smoother. Dailies dripping drama we'd lived. Summer's heat wave mirrored rising star. Premiere buzz. Festival nods. Red carpet loomed. Our story. Celluloid clad. Unveiled. Nerves jangled. What if they miss it? I fretted. Jordan squeezed hand. They won't. It's us. Unforgettable. Toronto Fest. Lights blinding. Applause thundering as credits rolled. That door swing scene eliciting gasps. Then cheers. Q&A. We shared stage. Voices twined. Love's not plot. It's pulse. Accolades piled. Audience award. Whispers of Oscars, but gold paled to a fan's note. Watch with my dad. He gets it now. Fall awards season swirled. Gowns and gripes. After parties electric. We navigated tuxed. Jordan's arm steady. Dodging inspiration porn pitfalls with wit. When came for screenplay, my name etched. His spirit woven. Speech choked. To the man who walked in, thank you for staying. Backstage kiss. Flashes popping. World witnessing what walls once hid. Winter quieted the frenzy. Queens cocooning us in normalcy. Holiday lights twinkling. Workshops winterized. Family fuse fuller. Dad's flight north. First snow together. Teaching him city strides. Changed man. Jordan marveled. Watching dad shovel with grandson glee. Ethan's third? Nah, us. Pondering paths to parenthood. Agencies browsed tentative. One eve, snow falling soft. We stood fire escape, mugs steaming. 10 years since, he murmured, breath clouding. I turned, heart full, and eternity ahead. Love, we learned, is an unannounced finale. It's endless epilogue, scripted in scars and stars, forever unfolding. As snowmelt ushered verdant vigor, our 10th anniversary crested like a wave-long building, destination wedding redux. Intimate circle on that Catskills lake, canoes for pews, vows voiced to loon calls. Jordan, 38 now, silver threading his temples, looked at me with eyes that held decades' depth, from uninvited guest to lifelong host. Yours, I. 35, wordsmith worn but wiser. Echoed. You knocked. I answered together. We built the home. Rings renewed. Simple gold bands etched deeper. Guests, family forged. Friends faithful, toasting with cider crisp. Summer post-nup stretched languid. Film accolades fading to fertile ground. Workshops scaled. Hearts chapters in 3 cities. Jordan keynoting with fire that forges steel from story. I tagged. Podcast remote. Episodes evolving. Love's longevity. Not just launch. Listeners lingered. Couples crediting us for sticking through squalls. Your doors are blueprint, one wrote. We replied personal. Penning lifelines. False foliage framed family forge. Adoption odyssey launched. Profiles polished. Home study humbling. Exposing quirks like Jordan's sock hoards. My midnight muses. Wait nod gentle, then match siblings. 5 and 7. Foster flipped fates. First meet. Park picnic. Their wariness mirrored ours once. Walls high. Trust tentative. Like us, Jordan whispered, watching them chase frisbees. Paperwork piled. But hearts hastened. Holidays hinted homecoming. Winter wrapped wondrous. Court cleared. Twins tumbled in, Elias. Freckled firecracker, Sophia. Thoughtful scribe in training. Chaos christened. Crayons carnage. Bedtime battles. But Jordan's lullabies lulled. My tales tamed tantrums. Nights. Post-tucking. We'd collapse giggling. We did this. Parenting's plot twist. Exhausting. Exquisite. Rewrote rhythms. But rooted us richer. Spring burgeoned with broods bloom. Elias's T-ball triumphs. Sophia's school stories scrawled in journals I gifted. Jordan coached. Cleats caked. Cheering horse. I chaperoned field trips. Fostering fledgling words. Family swelled. Dad's visits. Grandkids gumming his tails. Ethan's clan converging. Cousins cavorting. Full house, Mom marveled. Once wary, now weaving quilts for bunks. Summer sun schooled us swift. Beach bashes. Sunburns badges of bliss. Film sequel greenlit. Our lives? Lightly laundered, and we consulted casual, carving kid cameos. No spotlights yet, Jordan decreed. Slathering SPF. Podcast pivoted parental, unannounced family, guffaws and grit on growing together. Listeners laughed. Related? Twins? Twins win. Fall's harvest hummed harvest home. Twins first school fate. Jordan DJing. Me emceeing skits. Elias's somersault stole show. Sophia's poem pierced. Doors open when love knocks soft. Pride swelled parental. Our seeds. Sown in story. Sprouting strong. Workshop whirlwind whittled. Jordan authored manual. First aid for hearts. Forward mine. He saved me now. Us. Winter's hush heralded heart swell. Dad's bucket list Brooklyn statue torchlit, his eyes twinkling twinward. Legacy's live, he rasped, arm around Jordan. Passing came quiet. Spring equinox, peaceful, surrounded. Grief gripped gentle, eulogy Jordan's. Voice velvet, taught me tough love, showed softer. We scattered ashes Adirondacks. Lake lapping lullaby. Summer soothed scars, campouts close. Constellation's classroom. Twins queried, Papa Joe, tell the door story. He'd spin. Embellished, knocked wrong, rightest wrong ever. Laughter lit firesides. Love's lore legend to little ears. Film too wrapped. Premiere promise postponed. Family first. Fall framed fortitude. Book forebirthed. Echoes unannounced. Epistolary elder queer voices. Tour trimmed. Twins tagging tag-along. Sophia sketched covers. Elias engineered props. Accolades amassed. But anchor abode. Queen's quadrennial. Herb's harvest home. Winter's weave warmed wondrous. Hanukkah hybrid. Lights linking lineages. Christmas chaos. Cookies crumbling under tiny tyranny. Jordan's gaze. Grandkids gambling. Gleamed. Our unannounced gift. Podcast peaked. Finale foreshadowed. 20 years, still knocking. Spring's symphony swelled. Twins 10. Terrors turned treasures. Elias engineering empires for blocks. Sophia scripting sagas. Adoption anniversary. Cake chaos. Candles counting chapters. Workshop worldwide. Virtual veins to villages. Jordan jetting judicious. I joined. Journalism jaunts journaling justice. Summer saga surged. Road trip Rockies. RV rattling with rhymes and riddles. Stops sparked stories. Ghost towns, ghosts of grit. Mirroring our metal. Like us, Sophia noted. Sage at 12. Jordan winked. Doors everywhere. Falls fanfare. Film fest fate. Family front row. Twins transfixed by on-screen selves. Veiled. Standing ovation. Ours orchestrated. To the knocks that never stop. Afterglow intimate. Ice cream indulgence. Elias's eyes wide. Dads are heroes. Winter whirled white. Holidays hallowed. Hearts holding history. Dad's absence ached ambient. But echoes endured. His laugh in Elias's guffaw. Wisdom in Sophia's wit. Jordan journaled joint. Grief's door opens to gratitude. One eve. Snow soft. Brood abed. We balcony bound. Breaths beclouded. 30 years, he marveled. Hand heart home. I leaned, unannounced. Unending. Love's ledger.
I know this
Ledgered
is
in
overwhelming,
lives,
but you need to listen
dramatic
closely.
dawn to devotional dusk.
Everything is going to be okay.
Our forever,
I'm right here with
finally
you.
forged.